on your screens. It's sending it through that tells you that this is being recorded. And I just said okay for all of you guys. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We'll start with that. Nice to see a lot of faces. What we're going to do is, so from this point, if you are able to type in under the messages, put your name in the message and send it so that it records on here that you're in the meeting. If you can't type on the message, make sure that unmute and tell us that you're here if you don't have a way of typing on the message. Okay. Hey, Benny. Hi, Julie. Gotta get rid of what? Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. It's not quite 100, or it's not quite 100 people yet. So again, if you haven't already done it, type your name in there to send a message to everyone and send me your name. I told them they could come. He knows they'll come in if they want to. I don't see where I can type. Ed, are you on your computer or are you, Ed Sisma, are you on a computer or on your phone? Go ahead and unmute. Ed? Computer, okay. Angela, you're presenting. Please go out of present mode and go into just join. Angela? Angie? Okay. Ed, if you look up in your upper right-hand corner, there should be a people thing that says 102. Looks like 2 people together. Then there should be a text chat box and the time. Click on the text chat box and you should be able to type in at the bottom of that. It says send a message to everybody. If you type in there and put your name in and send it in, you should be okay. All right. Your screen or window. See how we're doing this. All right. Oh, crap. Oh, I'm screaming when you're on the phone. I need to know what's being seen on there. Are you on your phone? You're presenting to everybody, good. All right, hopefully this is big enough so that everybody can see it. Most of it I'm going to read. Okay. Do you have it on your phone yet?
I have to download Google Meet.
Okay. All right, Barb, if you can hear me, what you're looking for is the little chat icon in your upper corner. If you're on the phone, it'll be farther down in the list or right below the picture. All you need to do is there should be a place that says send a message. Otherwise, mark down Barb, she's in the meeting. All right. Good morning, everyone. And basically, welcome to the year of not like any other. This is going to be totally different from anything that we have seen before. And
I can't get in. I have Google Meet on my laptop. I can't get in on this.
Do me a favor. Oh, get this one up line on it. And I just need to see what everybody's seeing so that I'm talking about the same thing. Go in there and grab it up. You should be able to go up to there. Okay. All right. Welcome to the new norm. What we're going to go over today is we're going to go over and talk about the different routes that are out here and also the process for selecting the routes and then a few other things that we need to know for the beginning of the year. I know on your minds a lot of questions as far as whether we are starting school since everybody around us is delaying their start. That should be determined. Volume down. That should be determined tonight at the board meeting. If you guys would like to listen into the board meeting, you can go to the woodstockschools.org app. It still keeps asking. Okay. Hang on a minute. I've got someone who's having trouble getting in on the app. I just accepted you, so let me know if that allowed you in. Yeah. No, I just accepted you into the meeting. So did it pop up on your computer? Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay. We'll start over. Our new norm. We're going to go over the route packages and talk about what to expect at transportation. And also, I was starting to tell everybody about tonight's meeting. If you'd like to watch the meeting for the Board of Education, if you go to the website woodstockschools.org, not the trans staff one, but the .org, it'll take you to our website for the district. And if you go to where it's board members, there'll be a link that will allow you to watch the meeting tonight and view it just like we're doing now. You'll be able to link in and listen to the meeting. They will be discussing the new year and what they are definitely going to approve or not, or whether or not they're going to delay the start of school for the year. Not sure which way it's going to go. Lori says she can't see anything. Lori who?
That's all she sees is her L and I.
Is she on?
Computer.
Yeah. What picture is that? Hang on, another technical difficulty.
It doesn't see you.
Lori, Lori Singer, why don't you log off and come back on again? And let me accept you back in because you should be seeing our screens and actually the other faces of the other attendees.
Just say hello, Lou's here.
Hello, this is Lou. Lucrecia.
Christine Behringer just left the meeting. Okay, if there's anybody else who's not seeing the screen where it says the new norm, or seeing the other participants, then you need to log off and log back on and let me accept you back into the meeting because you should be seeing
Tell them you're on the phone, not on
the screen, and you should also be seeing the other people at the meeting.
I am in the phone only. I'm having a hard time
Gotta love it.
in the computer.
Okay, that worked. She's back. Yes.
Or not, that's why I'm here.
Okay, so back to tonight's board meeting. You can watch it and listen and see what they say if you're interested. Otherwise, we will confirm tomorrow morning when we come in for our meeting that we are definitely going, or if they're going to delay it at all. So if you've come into the office, you've looked at our routes and you're seeing a lot of different than what you're used to. For the new people, you know, hopefully you can, how we're doing selection this year, you can just forget about it and it'll be different again next year, because I'm hoping we're not doing more than 1 year of this. The routes are packaged together, and almost every route has 3 levels to it. A morning take-in, a midday where we're either taking them home and picking them up for the afternoon, or just one or the other, and then an afternoon take home. All of the routes are Monday through Thursday, and they are, we tried to keep them in the same areas. Lori couldn't do that with every single route, but she tried to do that with the majority of the routes so that you're running in the same areas morning, noon, and afternoon. Clay Street, Union, our Greenwood Life Skills and our Creekside Life Skills, they only have AM and PM routes and nothing in the middle. Our Easter Seals one is not on the table yet because that's only going to go 2 days. And we are going to, we don't know what 2 days they are yet. I lost you and I can't get you back. Text Christine Derringer, tell her to let you know when she is, let us know when she's in there. She should pop up when she can get back on. That will eventually be posted for 2 days. It'll either be a Monday, Tuesday, or a Thursday, Friday. They haven't let us know which day the young man is going yet, and they won't know that till the end of next week sometime. We also have Friday routes. Those are AM routes. Those are called, they're like the traditional routes that we normally have. They will be having school on Friday, but it's not really school. It's a daycare setting is what it is. We'll pick them up in the morning, and then at the regular time that they usually would be going home, they're going to go home in the afternoon. Your keys, everybody is now going to be like Greenwood. One of the requests from the union is that you got to keep your keys, which is fine. I don't blame you, and that'll keep us from having to spray them down every day. So if you have a route, you're going to keep the keys to your bus. We have the keys here if we need them. Just don't lose them is all I ask. If something happens that you can't find them, we need to know right away where you lost them and whether we have to replace them and get new ones made. The route sheets, we're going to have those. Right now, they are still in the hallway. We might be changing that depending on if we can find something to take part of them out of the hallway and have them like on a pegboard or something here in the break room. We haven't found anything yet, and I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it. We have a couple ideas, and it just depends on whether we can get them before school starts. Otherwise, we will get them during the year.
You're gonna go to
Is it anybody? What?
No.
Go ahead and
Which one
answer
do I
it.
answer?
Just hit answer.
I don't know.
So route sheets for right now are still going to be in the aisle. I'm trying to separate those so that we don't have everybody at once. Is not muted. I just heard talking. So if you could make sure, appreciated. That takes care of the route sheets. It's not a meeting code. Okay, so she doesn't, that means she didn't go in through the link.
She can't go fix her.
Tell her to call then and just listen in. There's a
phone number on the wall.
Okay, sorry. So route sheets we will have in their pouches. Those we don't want to leave on them in case we have to do any changes. What we're trying to do is minimize how much time you have to come in and be in the break room and office and that. All right, next. So the route selection process. What we need you to do is come in at some point between now and Thursday or whenever your routes are and look these over and get an idea of which routes you'd like to look at. They are based on a 4-day week as far as the hours guaranteed on them goes. So that's going to be different from what you're used to also. And you can come into the office up to 30 minutes before your selection time to see what's there and look at it again. If you need help, we're going to have Lori and Risa here, and our Lori from route selection will be here. We'll have people here that can help you guys out. Somebody is still not muted.
Okay.
And
Hey, Di, I think the person that's not muted is on the phone, not through Google Meets. So I don't think they can mute themselves, or they don't know how.
Just say, Lucretia is on the phone.
This is Lucretia.
Bridget,
I don't know how to unmute. I'm sorry. I will not make noise.
all right. It's not muting her yet.
If you push *6, you'll mute yourself if you're on the phone.
Stop presenting.
Do you want her muted? Okay, I'm going to push *6. Oh, that's a recording. Just ask, do you want me muted or unmuted?
I want me unmuted. No, I don't hear them.
Okay, there's nothing here. Stars.
Chris Masco just left the meeting. Okay, you keep unmuting yourself, whoever this is. I mute you and then you unmute yourself.
You thought we were muted?
Deborah.
Hello?
Okay, let's try this again. Apologize, as usual, technology has its ups and downs. Come in 30 minutes, look over your route. We'll have people out to help. Be ready to sit down at your route time so that we can go through and make sure you understand what you're doing and all of the particulars about your route. After you have selected your route, you can go and talk with Lori, or you can make an appointment with her at a later date for next week. We're going to be talking about target hours. And as you come in, we'll tell you what the target hours are. They were what you worked before COVID shut down. So we were being paid from March on per week. That is what we are going to make every effort to reach and get as close to that as we can for you. There's some guidelines that Lori, Risa, Jerry, and I sat down and kind of went through some guidelines on how to do that, since we're trying to make a 5-day week into a 4-day week. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those and give you, at the end of it, if you have questions, we'll do questions then. Lori will not be, yeah, right. Lori Singer will not be here on Friday, but we'll have people out here. All right. Trying to read the messages as we're going. All right. So our route guidelines that we've come up with is: being made whole consists of picking a route that is Monday through Thursday, picking from the packaged routes, doing their best to stay within a 2.5 hour of the target hours, the hours the driver received for COVID pay from March starting. So what that means is that if you were work 26, 27 hours, we are going to try and keep you within 2.25 hours of that, or 2.5. The ones that are below 30 hours, that shouldn't be a problem. The ones that are in 30 and 40 hours, we will be working to get you up to that. There are some extensions and things, so come in and look over everything, and we will work at getting you up to your as you had within 2.5 hours of your weekly hours. If the driver cannot come within 2.5 hours of the target, the driver will choose a Friday route to meet their target, or may choose, not will, may choose a Friday route to reach their hours, choice of reducing their target hours. So if there is nothing here on the table, or if there's nothing here on the table, then that can get you up to those hours, then we will discuss what we're going to do to get you up to your hours within 2.5 hours. And there are rules, there are special things if you're not available in the middle of the day to be able to drive, as far as how you can get up to your hours. At this point, most of our, like I said, there's only a couple that didn't. And we really need everybody to drive in the, and we'll discuss that with you when you come in. If you have a job, that's something that nobody has control over. So for that, we'll talk about how we're going stuff. But everybody else, we would really appreciate it if you take those hours. Whatever, if we do shut down, which is what everybody's projecting sometime in October, November, depending, if they end up, those are going to be the hours that you're going to be paid like we were last year. So the day we have to cover. So at this point, we're asking you all to be team players and just, and please be available in the middle of the day. We do understand that if it's absolutely impossible for you to be available in the middle of the day, then we're going to work with that. It's not the norm. We don't have, I'm in and out. All right. If I understand the statement here, is anybody else having trouble hearing me? Is it coming and going, or do you hear it? All right, it's not coming through here. Very glitchy. Okay, these yes answers. I'm assuming that means that you're not hearing all of the words. All right, Mike, coming and going. Let's see. Not sure how I'm going to fix that. We didn't have that problem last time. I have an awful lot of these correct, but okay. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can do something with my mic real quick. It's on Wi-Fi, which is probably why it has it. We don't have the ability out here to click in or to hook in for hardwired. I'm skipping a bit. Okay, I've got a few that sound good. So what I will do is, if you don't understand something, basically I'm reading what's on the screen. If you hear everything that I'm saying, then we will go to questions afterwards, and I'll try to turn on the captions. All right. I think I had captions on, but let me double check. Okay, let's see if that's any better. Do you guys see the captions? Somebody unmute and tell me if you see the captions as I'm talking.
I don't see them.
I think we have to turn them on ourselves for us to see them. Like,
Okay,
Yes.
you could probably
so
see them,
if
but
you
on
go
separate
down
computers.
to where your mic is at, the three the three little dots on the right side, if you're on your computer, guys. Okay, so if the bottom, guys, quiet one moment, please. If you go to the bottom and you go to the three little dots, same mic is and the camera. Would everybody please mute their mic? Who? All right, Zaya, you need to mute your mic. It's not muting.
Trying to.
If anybody has their mic on, please mute it. All right, so if you go down, put your arrow down at the bottom where the mic is, phone is, and go to the three dots. If you click on the three dots, there is a turn off caption or turn on caption. Options, it will allow you to read it as I'm talking. Okay. All right. So number 3 is the next one. There's still somebody with a mic on. If you have a mic, could you please mute it? It'll come up with the mic will turn red and have a line through it. Okay. Number 3, a driver may choose to remove the midday section of a packaged route. A driver may not separate any of our kindergarten routes. So some of our routes have elementary and kindergarten with them. If they have any type of kindergarten route with them, we can't separate those because those are the ones that we want to make sure that we're keeping the driver as consistent as possible. But we will work with you on removing the midday routes and trying to get them covered a different way. If the driver chooses this option, they will no longer receive the pay that makes them a whole under the COVID pay. So if you choose to remove that and because you just don't want to drive in the middle of the day, then you will change your hours per week. And that's you will no longer be obligated to fulfill your target hours. The driver cannot choose a route until all routes are selected have been completed, and any routes that are left over after the selection process is completed will be posted. So if you take your midday out of it because you only want to drive in the morning and the afternoon, and you don't want to take one of the routes that are available with morning and afternoon driving, we are allowing that to happen. I would really appreciate it if you don't do that. One, you're going to change your hours from what could be 25 hours a week down to approximately 15 to 20 hours a week. And you will not keep your target hours, which are the hours that you were being paid last year. And we'll have a lot of routes to fulfill. So I'm hoping that everybody is available to drive in the middle of the day, and only those that have a different job that they have to be to in the middle of the day are the only ones that we will not be able to drive in the middle of the day. This is in how to get these routes put together and who is going to the school in the middle of the day. So just about every route has a middle of the day. Special education routes can choose to extend their day by picking midday or Friday routes at the end of the route selection in order to attempt to meet their target hours. These drivers will be permitted to fill their hours before the contractual posting takes place. So if you decide that you want to drive one of our special ed routes because that's what you like to do, and we haven't fulfilled your hours, the target hours, once we find out how many middays and Friday routes, if you want a midday, which would be the kindergarten and the elementary in the middle of the day, or if you want a Friday route to fulfill your hours, we can do that. And you've got that option of then doing that because our special ed routes really are only morning and afternoon. All drivers who would like to pick a Monday or Friday route may do so after the target hours of drivers have been met. The routes will be posted and picked by seniority. So if you only have, if you have a 25-hour route on Monday through Thursday with the 3 days and you want to work on Friday and pick up extra hours that will increase your hours for the week, you'll be allowed to do that. They will be posted just like our normal postings get done. And then any midday that we can't cover will also get posted. I don't know how to say this any different, but I'm really hoping that we don't have many middays available. I'd like to see everybody come in and just take the package as it is and go with the midday in order to be able to get the students to and from school. So any questions about what is going on with route selection? You can go ahead and unmute and ask. Oh God. Then they're like, oh God, here we go. No questions?
I have a question, Diane.
Questions. So all of the Friday routes are going to be separate from the regular Monday through Thursday routes. Yes, they are, because Friday is, they are calling it a traditional school day. They are not going for the long day. They're gonna start and end just like they did last year. So elementary will go from roughly 2:30 until, or roughly 7:30 until 2 o'clock, 2:10. And during this year, Monday through Thursday, they're going from 7:20 to 3:20, I believe. So they are separate because and we're not telling people they have to work Fridays. Friday is one of those things that was not in the originally thought of. We're doing that because the governor is asked to have daycare available. So it's a separate route and it's extra hours for anybody that once they get their target hours, if they want more hours, they can get it. Any other questions?
Diane, can you hear me? Diane.
I swear. Go ahead, yes.
So I'm curious as to target
Okay,
hours.
I did hear somebody. Who's talking?
Chrissy? Chrissy's talking?
Anybody know? Who's ever trying to talk? You're not coming through.
Okay, I'll type it.
Okay, go ahead, Chrissy. Something about target hours.
Does that include like our middays? So I drove 25, but I worked 10-hour middays. So do I need to target 35 hours?
Okay, you're curious about target hours. Do you want me to explain that again?
Yes, please.
Yes, for the drivers that ended up working. All right. Okay, because I can't answer right away. I have to wait until I end up walking over you. All right, so the target hours that we are going for is what you worked all over. So if you worked at a school, we're going for your 35 hours. We may not be able to match that. And so we've got a couple options with that. If you're at a school, some of them have asked if they can have you fulfill your hours still there because they're in need of associates watching kids and stuff. I need you driving in the middle of the day. And as long as you're driving in the middle of the day, then we're going to work at getting your target hours filled with us. If we can't, then we will work at also the possibility of you going to your school and helping out there. That is to be determined after we do route selection. And that's pretty much what I've told the principals is that once I get route selection taken care of and we've talked to the drivers that have the 2 positions, we'll discuss how we're going to finish filling your 35 hours and where you're going to finish filling them, because they've asked for some of you guys to come and help out at certain times. I am hoping that that answers it. I have a midday associate. Is the principal aware that? Yes, the principals have been told. They're not happy campers anymore at the moment. So
Guys,
that
can you hear me?
if we don't fulfill your hours, because when they need you guys working at the same time, I need you guys driving. And they can replace associates easier on a temporary basis than we can do with a driver. And in the case of that, for as far as the dollars and cents goes, it's going to be more money for you working for us. But we have talked about the fact that if there's time in the middle of the day to where you might hours up there, that may happen. That's to be determined once we get all the routes selected. What actually are target hours? Target hours are whatever you were paid per week last year after COVID started. So if you were paid for 27 hours and 33 minutes, that's what we're going for. If you were paid for 38 hours and 10 minutes, that's what we're going for. Whatever your paychecks were per May, that's the hours that we're going through. I have a midday. Is there a guarantee hours? There is a guarantee hour for driving time from last year. That's the target hours. When I keep referring to target hours, that was what you were being paid last year. And as far as this year's guarantee, they're on there the same way for what you'll get paid. The guarantee is determined by how many routes are on there, and that goes by the news. So there's very few that aren't driving past what would be considered their guaranteed hours for the day. I don't reach your target. If you don't reach your target hour, do you get first pick for Friday routes? Yes, ma'am. You get first pick for Friday, or if we already have on the board a midday. But Friday is always on the table to work towards the target hours. We're just not requiring you to work on Friday unless that's your choose. Those who are driving, what actually are target hours? Okay, I think I answered the target hours. Does anybody else need another answer for target hours? First pick. What time is the board meeting? 7 o'clock tonight. They usually start letting people in, like where I had to accept you. They usually start letting everybody start viewing it about 10, 15 minutes beforehand to make sure that you're on board and able to view it. But it starts at 7 p.m. tonight. What time? All right. Any more questions? What?
If they take a regular route and don't split it apart, that route, can they take a Friday route?
Okay, so Jerry's asking if you take a regular route and you don't split it apart, if you have made your route hours, the target hours, then you're done. And if you want to work Friday, once we post those Friday routes, then you can select that to make more hours. If you take one of our packaged routes and you don't split it, and you want to pick a Saturday route, you can do that. The goal is we're going to use whatever we can. The goal is to try to fit your target hours within that 4-day week, but we can go into 5 days if that's what you'd like, and you can pick one of the routes from Friday. They are split. Most of the AM routes are like 2.5 hours, and the PMs are 2.5 hours. There's a couple single route onlys that are 1.5 hours inbound and outbound on Fridays. So there's some options on how to build it. It's an option. It's not a requirement that you do Fridays if we fulfill all your hours during the week. So if the board votes e-learn, are you going to get paid, and how do we depend on figuring our hours? Awesome question. And that is above my pay grade at the moment. I'm going to say probably the same way we did last year. Believe, always subject to negotiations between the union and administration. All I can tell you is that your union's going to be going for you guys to be paid, and the administration's not going to want to lose you. So at that point, I can only say that my personal opinion is that you will be paid and taken care of, and that'll be something that gets determined. And the expectation is that you will be doing, just slide the red bar, yeah. Did you answer it? Okay, you can hang up on him. It says Inspector Sam. All right. So the answer is that we should be taking care of you, because I don't want to lose any drivers between now and when we do finally come back to school. If they decide to not start school after the board meeting, we are still going to pick our route, correct? No, we are not. And the reason we're not is because we won't guarantee that this is going to be the way it comes back to school when we decide to come back to school. The district feels that this is the safest way to get the kids back in school. So I suspect that this is going to be the same criteria that we're going to use when we come back, but it's not a guarantee. So we're not going to pick the routes. We're going to stay with whatever hours you were making and go with that. And anybody who wasn't making hours last year, wasn't on a route, I don't know how to answer that at this moment. That would be something that will come up once we know what the board decides tonight. If they decide, okay, are we going to pick a race? No. What about bringing your own kids to work? Okay. Your own students. We have kept those routes down as low as we can. And what we're doing is the seat right behind you, when we're talking about charts, that seat right behind you, we're talking about leaving open and starting with the first seat on the driver's side. That seat behind you is where your kids can sit. And if you need more than that, we'll figure it out at the time that you pick your route and we start talking about route selection. We're going a little, I'm going to hit on that topic too, as far as what we're doing. So once we select the routes, we'll talk about it. If you have your own kids, not a problem. We're going to, they're going to be behind you though. That way you don't have any handheld on your bus coughing or talking behind you, and they will start on the driver's side or the passenger side. But yes, your children are going to be allowed on the bus. You cut out. Please repeat, which section did I cut out on? Let's see. E-learning. If it was about picking routes tomorrow, somebody has got their thing is not muted. And that's part of why it's going to be interrupting, because if you don't have your mic muted, then it tries to override my mic. All right, so let's try again. If you did not hear the part about e-learning, if the board decides to for e-learning, we will not select routes starting Thursday, because we not 100% certain that when we do come back to school that we are using the same format as what we have set up now. It's the safest for the kids, so I suspect that it will be the same, but it may not be. As far as what the hours, your target hours, are what's going to be used when we're talking about what you would be paid if we don't come back to school right away. If you are asking about, I already talked about the hours, bringing kids to work, yes, you can bring your students with you. Part of the reason that I told them that we weren't going to put 40 to 50 kids on the bus is because I know that we have got drivers that have 1, 2, 3 children that go with them that are their own. And I didn't want the buses that crowded with the rest of our kids. So there will be room. Okay, you have 5-1, we know that. But you don't have all 5 on the route with you at the same time. And if you do, we'll work it out. But we made sure that we left room so that your own kids could come with you. Will we still have the refresher course tomorrow in that case? Yes, we'll talk about that later, but tomorrow is definitely on. Are you going to need associates for Friday routes? Yes, we are. For any kindergarten routes, we'll need associate routes. At this point, we will be having associates on every kindergarten route that has, I'm going to say, over 5 kids on it. We have a couple that have got the least amount of kids. My concern is this: even with 5 kids, if they're 3 and 4-year-olds, they're going to have a hard time with that mask. So for right now, I am putting an associate on every kindergarten route, both in the morning, midday, and afternoon. You guys will be able to increase your hours if you're available. I nerd, and we'll deal with that. The associates is, if we are starting school definitely on the 17th and you know somebody or that wants to be an associate, tell them to call, and they're not put in for an associate on a bus, posted soon, but I will be taking associate. Are you going to need associates for Friday routes? Got that? All right. Any other questions on what we're doing as far as route selection, or any questions about routes? Okay. Just so that you know what you're looking at when you come in, there are some routes that have got highlights in them, and it says that the route time might change. That's anticipating if we are starting school on schedule. We're anticipating that the board is going to approve the question of allowing elementary kids to go home in the middle of the day and come in the middle of the day. They have gotten a lot of questions at the school level as to why we're not transporting in the middle of the day. Those routes are ones that when we start school, those routes, we will get those kids, they'll make the announcement day if the board approves it, that if any AM student home in the middle of the day, we'll transport them, or if they don't want to come in early in the day to do their e-learning and they want to come in class session, then we're going to do that. So that's why that says it may change. It won't change by a lot of time. The only thing that might change on it is to get to your school on time, because they have a start and an ending time. So it should be within that range, but there might be a few minutes fluctuation either direction. It just depends on what school it's being transported out of and into. Let's see, was there anything else different on the routes? We have highlighted areas that talk about if a route is under its guarantee. There are a few routes that are guaranteed 5 hours, or for the morning and afternoon. They're coming under their guarantee. And if it comes under its guarantee, just like in the past, if it's more than, I've got 2 of them that are more than a half hour a day, we'll work with you to stay on site. And that would be things like you'd be doing something else, whether it's taking a bus or someplace or whatever. We're going to work on how we're going to do it. I can't have everybody in here shredding to make up hours because that would end that social distancing. And I don't have that many shredders. But if you do see that highlighted, then that's that possibility that it's not making its guaranteed time. And that too is subject to change, because right now we are going off of exactly what we've been told for the kids that are coming and going. And that may change a little bit as they can go home in the middle of the day or come in the middle of the day. And that could change your inbound and outbound kids on a bus. And that's normal. Kids coming and going is normal to what we're used to at the beginning of the year. So that's part of the time change. I don't think there's anything else highlighted on there. Those are the 2 main things that are highlighted on the routes. There are ones that say associate on the bus. So we still have to go through and mark the rest of them that'll have an associate. But if it has a kindergarten route, assume that you're going to have an associate. There's a possibility that if you have an associate on that bus, you may have them for the elementary route in the morning, because we have less ways to get them to you than we had before. So from that aspect, your associate in your elementary route with you also. Let's see, what else? Anything else? I'm not understanding how you can make a special route, needs route longer. Special needs route will not have a middle of the day. So it brings them in the morning and it takes them home in the afternoon. We anticipate having some middle of the day routes because we know that we've got drivers that have other jobs. So there's going to be a few of those. Those would be what you could pick up in the middle of the day then. And those run 2 to 2.5 hours on some of those. So we'll talk you through it when you come in. If you're looking at the special ed routes, someone will be out here to kind of help you see what else is available for you. Or there's always Friday too that you can pick up and do extra routes, on. Kathy Parker, if you're still seeing a black screen, go out of the meeting and come back in, and it should bring you back up to seeing the people and stuff. All right, any other questions on the routes and selection? Lori or Risa, anything from you guys that I may have missed? Okay, so we are going to go on to the next part then. And keep in mind, Lori, our Lori, route supervisor, will be here. We'll help you out. She knows the routes pretty good since she's been over them many, many times. Jerry will be out here also with helping out. You'll have Lori and or Risa at some point out here, or there will be other union members. We'll have enough senior people to where they can help you go through it, especially the newer drivers that have no clue what they're doing because you guys just started with us last year. We'll work with you and we'll help you all here 30 minutes early so that you can look through these routes and don't walk in at your selected time, because at your selected time, you should be sitting down at the table in my office and us going over that route for the 15 minutes. We're going to need every bit of that 15 minutes to get the paperwork done and make sure you understand what you're doing. So come in early for that. Di, are you showing a slideshow? The part of my screen is blank, but I can see you. Nope, I'm just opening up the slideshow again. I logged up and I'm still seeing a black screen. I don't know what to tell you as far as the black screen goes. For those that are seeing, if you can see the slides now, that might have been part of it. I didn't have the slides up before.
Diane,
right.
Can you hear me?
So going on to the next topic, associates. There are going to be more hours available, and which you've already heard because we're going to have associates on all of the kindergarten routes. We'll have them on our special ed routes, and we actually have Lori, go ahead. You said you have a question?
I do. Can you hear me? Diane, can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Okay, so I have a sub asking, a sub can come in and pick a full-time route when it's their turn, but if we go to e-learning, will they only get whatever they got when COVID first started?
You're breaking.
I'll type it.
Okay. All right, Lori. Yeah, because you're breaking up. So if I understand what you were trying to say is, if you're a sub driver, what we're going to do if we go to e-learning is the same agreement that we had at the end of last year. The subs will be the ones that come in to do our lane inspections. If we're transporting any buses down to Huntley, anything that we're doing here, the subs would be the ones that we call first. And I'm not, you know, so it'll be pretty much like it was at the end of last year. I touched, and she came up, okay. All right, got it. Any other questions? Okay, so we've already talked about the drivers that have associate positions. I'll repeat it again, just in case that was one of them that was coming in and out. We are working with the schools. We're going to fill as much of your hours with driving as we can. And then if there's anything left over after that, then we will talk about whether or not, you know, we'll find out from the school that you service whether or not they could use you to fulfill the rest of the hours. Right now, our goal is to have every driver available driving instead of working at the schools. Your benefit is that you're going to make more money driving. Our benefit is that I can't just hire somebody off the streets to be a driver. As far as associates go, there's going to be more hours available. You will be required, if you have a kindergarten route, you will be required to help the Deers and Associates take the temperatures. Right now, what we've worked out with Mrs. Bogot is that when the bus arrives at Dearson, it's going to pull up. You will have a thermometer, or they will bring out two. We're not sure which way we're working it yet. So before they get the kids off the bus, you'll take care of the half of the bus and go backwards, and the associate will take care of the front part of the bus. We're only going to let those kids get off the bus one seat at a time. They are going to have their temperature taken before they get off the bus and go. If they have a temperature, we are going to take those students back to their home. So as far as drivers are concerned, that might be the only thing extra that you're going to be asked to do. If the child is sick, is that you take them back home once we verify that there is a parent home to accept them. Drivers will not have any part of taking the temperatures. The school understands that that's not your duties. Your duties are to make sure that the kids are getting to those buses safely and taking care of the kids. The associates, we're doing it just so we can get these kids unloaded. The little guys are ones that if they get into the school trying to get their temperature in an orderly fashion, they didn't think it would be very good. They expected a lot of chaos. This way we can control some of that chaos and at least get their temperatures taken before they get into the school. And then we talked about the schools may need extra help, so that might be available too. I think that's it for associates. If you have any questions, let me know. Why do we have to take them home and have more exposure? At that point, you're already exposed. They don't want to take them into the school and expose more than what they already have exposed on the bus. At the point that there is a temperature, they're already been sick for a couple days. The temperature is not something that comes up in the first day or two unless it's a cold or flu. There it comes up in the first day. From what the nurses are telling them and the medical staff is telling them is that if a child has a fever and they have COVID, they've already had it for a bit. So keeping them contained on the bus, they can sit 4 or 5 seats behind you. It doesn't matter where we put them to keep them farther away from you, but we are going to take them home because it's better than bringing them in and trying to quarantine them in the office. If we can't get a hold of a parent, if they're not available to accept their child, then the school's just going to figure out what they're going to do with them. For right now, it's going to be, this is the way we're going to work it, simply because if they have a fever, chances are they have a cold or a flu more so than they have COVID. But if they do have COVID, they've already had it for a while. Let me see questions. No kidding. Parents need responsibility to do this. They are not supposed to, they are being told that they are not supposed to send their children to school if they have a fever. They have been told that they are supposed to be doing self-certification before their children gets onto the bus. The problem is that we all know, especially at the kindergarten level, we all know that they tell their kids, honey, go to school, and if you still don't feel good, I'll be happy to pick you up later. The schools are anticipating parents that either are not going to do actual self-certification, or that they're going to send them anyways. So it's one of those things that we're trying to contain it. We're not doing this at the, where did my picture go? We're not doing this at any other level than the Dearson level. Every other student from first grade up is going to have their temperature taken at the school, and they have a room already designated as a quarantine area until a parent can come get them. So let me see about reading. So if a student has a temp, quarantine for 14 days. Not unless they feel that that child has to have a COVID test. Other than that, it's whatever McHenry County Health Department decides when it comes to that. They are under their guidelines for how they are dealing with the sick student and what they are doing after that. So I don't have an answer to that because it could be different for each child. No kidding, parents are responsible. Check temps when they are getting on the bus. No, they are having their temperature. If you're talking about when you pick up, no, we did not want to make you guys or anybody else on your bus do temperature checks. And the school didn't either. You have enough to do with just getting the kids there on a timely basis. So as far as at the bus stops, we are not doing temperature checks. They are going to do temperature checks when they go into the school, and they'll take care of it from that point on. The parents are not supposed to send their kids to school in the event that they have a temperature. Why do we have to take them home? Got that. So if a student hits a temp, got that. No kidding, parents are. Why not have a person on every bus before they get on and expose everyone? Because every child's not going to have COVID for starts, and for ending, we don't have enough employees to do that. Not at the school level, and definitely not at our level. They are not doing it at the school level, and it's just as much for the time and safety of the driver being able to transport them, which is why they have to wear their masks, and the driver wears the mask. And if they have a temperature by the time they get on your bus and it's COVID, again, they've already been on your bus for a couple days and they've been contagious. The temperature does not come right away is what they're saying. All the kids around them are exposed and let into the school. Yes, they are. And that is one of the problems with going back to school while we still have COVID going on as hot and heavy as it is. But that's what they'll be voting on tonight. Check temps when they're getting on the bus. No, we are not. And as far as coming out of the school, no, they're not checking temperatures as they get onto the bus. How is this going to work if we're exposed and need to be quarantined? I don't know. We will deal with that as it comes. We are going to be following the McHenry County Health Department's regulations as to how they want to do quarantine, or what they're doing with if a child comes up with COVID or if a bus driver comes up with COVID. Why wouldn't we take temps as they are getting on the bus? That would make things a lot easier. It would also increase your route times by twofold. If you had to take, there we go again. If you had to take the temperature at the stops and you've got 5 or 10 people getting on your stop, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it'd take too long. Okay. If they do have COVID and we have, okay, hang on a minute. If they do have COVID and we have to be off for 14 days, are we getting paid for time off? That depends on how the health department processes with it. Per the government standards, if you have to be off up to 14 days because of COVID, you are paid and it doesn't come out of your sick time. So that would happen. That is something that once it's established that somebody has the COVID virus, then that trickle down effect will happen as far as who is exposed and who they're quarantined, and all that goes by McHenry County, the health department guidelines. And each case is sort of, they're viewing it as each case will be taken depending on what it is. If it is an absolute COVID one, then it's their call. They're the ones that have the authority to tell us what we're doing, whether we're quarantining a bus driver and all the kids on it, whether they're going to shut down a school or anything like that. That comes from them. That's not up to the district. Why wouldn't we take? Okay, that's all right. If they do have COVID and we have to get them for, okay. So again, if you are off because of COVID, that's already been arranged by our state. If you are off due to COVID, you have 14 days and those will be paid, and those don't come out of your sick time or anything like that. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
If a child gets on the bus and they are coughing, runny nose, hacking away, we have to still take them to school. We can't tell them they can't come on the bus because now they infected everybody.
They are to wear their masks, and that will be something that I'll clarify because that is talking about a cold or possible flu. They haven't determined yet, let me rephrase that. They haven't shared with me yet. I'm not sure if they've determined it yet, exactly how they're going to deal with somebody that doesn't have a fever but is coughing. It's kind of like the bronchitis. You cough for months after you're contagious. So we're not sure how that's going to be taken care of. Without a fever, a cough and sneezing is not as contagious and it's not much of a problem. If the fever gets involved and then like the old rules still apply. They're not supposed to be in school if they have a fever. So as far as getting on the bus goes, those are things that I'm still waiting on answers on how they want us to, how to do that. So I hope to have those answers before school starts. If a driver is a high risk, age 65 or older, how is that going to be handled? Any driver has the right to bring in a note from the doctor that says that they are too high at risk and cannot work, and it will be honored. I have to check in more as far as what the criteria are. I do know that you need to have a doctor's note that says due to COVID that you are a high risk and should not be around the kids. So we're not sure exactly how that's going to be, but it's always your choice not to drive. It's entirely up to you. You can be either, you can go down, drop down and be on the sub. We're not going to force to go to sub status. That I have to check about. If you had a position last year and you are feeling like you're too high risk this year, that I will have to talk with administration just to make sure how we're going to handle that. We've talked about it a little bit already, but we're kind of waiting to see what happens. If that is the situation you're in and you don't feel that you want to come back, then let me know that ahead of time before your route selection. And that gives me the person so that I can sit down and talk with you and sit down and talk with our administration as to what the problems are, what your concerns are, and how we want to deal with it. All right, hang on, I lost the other one. I wish I put that. Too many unknowns for our protection, choose e-learning. You know what? If you go to the board meeting tonight, you can type that in and suggest that to the board. That's their call. But because you'll have the same thing like what you're doing here, it'll be the same type of setup, and they will present those questions from people that are online. They're only having, I think they're only letting 49 people in or 50 people in if you go to the board meeting, but if you're online, you can ask those questions. If one of us ends up with COVID because of work, what then as far as pay? If you end up with COVID because at work, you are automatically protected under the off for 14 days, no sick, no loss of pay. If it goes beyond that, then it goes beyond, as far as I understand it, it is going beyond that with pay and no sick. I will clarify that though and have an answer for you if we go to school. And I say if only because I'm kind of with that person that said not enough protection there and choose e-learning. I want the kids back in school, but I also want it safe for everybody. And looking at it, yeah, some kids need to be in school. You are correct. Some kids need to be in school, and that's their protection and for their own good. So I want to see them in school, but I also want you guys to stay safe. No different than me staying safe too, because whatever you guys get out there, you bring into the office, and it just continues to spread. So we'll see what happens after tonight. If the masks work, shouldn't have to worry, right? Masks are a different topic depending on who you listen to. All they're doing is helping delay the possibility of getting COVID. If you are in the room with somebody that has COVID and you are both in a mask, theory is that there is a very good chance that you will catch the COVID virus anyways. There are very few masks that will actually stop it. Even the N95s that filter out still do not filter it out completely, and you still could. It just delays. So you stay your 6 feet apart, you wear your masks, and you wash your hands, and theory is that it will slow down that spread. And they've already proven that with having us stay at home, and they've proven it with groups of people that stay apart. So for us, it means wearing our masks. It means not letting the kids come close to us too. And that's going to be the hard part with the little guys. You know what your little guys are like. They're going to have to be encouraged to just go right to their seats. So there are things that we're going to have to change in order to stay safe. And the whole thing is that we have to change, and we have to abide by the standards that the health departments have put out for how to stay safe. What happens if a parent refuses to have their child wear a mask? They don't get on the bus. If you have a child that comes without a mask, I will have extra masks available so that each bus has a few. And if the parent is there, they go home. If you get more than however many masks I give you, and we have a child there that doesn't have a mask, they're going to be told, we'll call the home just like we do now during exclusion. We'll call the home and make sure somebody's there, and we'll send the child home. They do not, and they are being told that they do not get on the bus without a mask. So we'll have some masks because there are some people that can't supply them for their kids. That's different. The school is supposedly supposed to get from the state a mask for every child. So they will have a mask for the kids, and we'll have some on the bus, some of the disposable masks that you could give them. But if they refuse to wear the mask before they get on the bus, then they're not getting on the bus. If they take it off while they're on the bus, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. All right, if a child is known at the school to have had a fever, will we be notified to not drive them the next day? Yes, because they will be told that they have to stay at school. They're supposed to keep in contact with us. I will tell you that is only as good as the communication level from the school. But they are supposed to be talking with the parents, and that child is not supposed to return to school. So that should mean that they won't be on your bus the next day. I'm hoping that the school will be diligent about making sure that we're aware of it too, so that we don't pick up that child, and we'll keep on that. Again, there's going to be that learning curve. This is all new. Okay. Do we know if we have to do something like the online training? If we go to e-learning, I have no idea. I'm not sure what we're doing with you guys. To be determined. I won't put you through the curriculum again, but we might find something else fun and interesting to do. And I say fun in the sense of the kind of fun we have here at Transportation. Okay, if a family member has COVID, we will be notified. What about their kids? Right now, my understanding is if a family member has COVID, they're either testing the kids or they're just quarantining the whole family. So if it's a definite known case, they've been quarantining them. If they don't know they have COVID, until that's known, then we'll still see those kids on the bus. Do we know if we will have to do something? Oh, yeah, you went through that. It lessens your chances of getting it. Was that, I'm assuming that's an answer to masks. Yes, if we do masks, if we wear our masks, regardless of what kind they are, and we wash our hands and we keep our 6-foot distancing, yes, it lessens your chances of getting the COVID virus and spreading it. Time clock use. That's on another slide, but I'll say it right now. If you want to use the time clock, you can use the time clock. If you don't want to use the time clock, when you check in at the window, they will punch your number in to the to our little box that we have, and dispatch will punch you in and out. Yes. All right. Wear eye protection, I'm sure would help. Okay, eye protection. The problem is that has the possibilities of being another hazard while you're driving. So as far as the transportation directors and people at the state level, they do not suggest using face shields or anything like that because it will interfere with driving. Right now, it's just masks that you wear while the students are on. That's part of the reason why I say if you have kids, they're going to sit in seat 1 behind you. If you don't have your own kids, then we're going to leave seat 1 behind you open, so that puts one more layer of barrier between you and the students. Is what you said about us being protected if we're sick with COVID the same if you're only exposed? I don't believe so. If you're exposed and you test negative, then you're not going to have to quarantine. All of those details have not been completely defined and ironed out as far as teachers in school and employees go, or they haven't been shared with me. But I don't believe that they've been completely ironed out, because I know that administration is talking about that as far as how that's going to be handled, because it's not just us. I mean, it's every employee of the district that has that concern. So that's one of the things that will be put in fine print, or at least detailed out a little bit more later on before school starts. And again, I will try to get you that answer before school starts. For the pre-K and K drivers, do we allow the child on the bus? Is their parent bringing them to the bus is not wearing a mask? If the child has a mask on, yes, you allow them on the bus. If the parent doesn't have a mask on, they are to stay at least the 10 feet back. That child can leave them while they're on the sidewalk and walk onto your bus. I am hoping that most parents are wearing masks. If they're having their children do it, hopefully they're doing that too. But if they don't and the child has the mask on, that's the requirement, is that the child needs to have it on in order for them to board the bus. What if we make masks? Can we provide a homemade mask? Not to the students. We're going to give you a mask we're going to give you a mask that's lightweight. It's a neoprene. It's one that on the hot days, if you mist it down with a little bit of water, it is something that is supposed to help cool the air. I just received them today and it's not that cool today, or not that warm today, so I haven't tested that out, but it's one that you can spray down. Your union has also gotten you guys masks for every union employee. So that will be something. You'll have at least 2 masks from the district. We're also supposed to have disposable ones. Treat your masks properly as far as cleaning them goes. I have been told that if you put them in a baggie and throw them in the freezer overnight, that will kill any germs that are on them. So that's one option from having to wash them every night and hanging them up for drying. Microwave too, but be cautious because putting material in the microwave
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
starts fires. Just ask me, I know. I did it with a heating pad, and you can't have a metal, so it does start fires. I would not suggest a microwave unless you know what you're doing. Let's see, allow the child on the bus if their parents bring them. What is masks? Okay, as far as a homemade mask for yourself, you can wear whatever you want that you're comfortable in. We tried to find masks that would be comfortable to wear on the bus, in the heat, and not make it extremely difficult to breathe when you're on the road for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But no, the homemade ones can't be given to the students. Games? I don't understand games and yay. Is it okay if it's okay if you leave us alone? What's okay if you leave? I don't understand that one. That was a response to something. I don't think I even remember my number on the clock at this point. Not a problem. We have a list, so when you come up to dispatch, we can punch you in. After seating chart, we are going, yes, we'll talk about seating charts in a minute. If those details are not yet ironed out, are we really ready to begin school? Good question. Good question. I have the same. But I will get those answers for you as far as what I said as far as the questions. So are we the only use mask provided by you? No, you can use whatever mask you want, like I said. We're just providing so you have at least one. I look at it as, I currently have probably 5 to 7 different types of masks that I wear. Some are homemade, some are bought. The reason being is that we're supplying you with a mask, and I'm assuming the same reason that the union's supplying you with the mask is that it gives you an extra tool so that you don't have to use yours. If you want to use the ones that you made or you have, that's perfectly okay, fine. You don't have to use the ones we gave you. When we're passing them out, if you don't want it, just tell us you don't want the ones that we're giving you. But you can do either way. You can use yours or you can use ours. So we cannot wear our homemade mask. Yes, you can. You can use ours or you can use yours. You just can't hand out homemade masks to kids. That will have to be the ones that are disposable, store-bought ones. As in no e-learning for drivers. I have no idea what means as in no e-learning for drivers. If the schools are in e-learning, I don't know what we're coming up with you guys to do or what's going to happen. We'll figure out something. All right, so on to the next. Check-in. We've already gone over this a little bit. You must check in at the window. Because you're going to have your keys, when you come to get your route sheets, you must check in at the window. I suggest letting them punch you in at that point. But if you want to use the clock, I am going to leave it there. I'm not going to cover it up. You can use the clock if you want to. We'll probably put a rag over there that it can be wiped down also, one of the microfiber rags. But if you don't want to use the clock, punch in at the window and the dispatchers will punch you in. They'll have a list of the numbers for those that have forgotten since we've been away for 20 weeks. Longest summer break ever. Checkout will be the same thing. Punch out it. You can punch out in the clock or the dispatchers will punch you out, either one. Greenwood, that's the same as always. You're going to radio in, and either way for punching in and punching out. Okay, everybody, I need to stand up. I'll be right back. So we are going to take a 2 or 3 minute break, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. We'll continue on in just a minute. I have to let the rest of the people here. Yeah, don't log off. We'll have to let the rest of the people here get back too. These bandanas. Let me go back and see if there's any more questions.
I hope you don't mind me coming in, just
Oh, no.
landscapers outside the window, all the people, beep, beep, beep.
No, you're fine. We didn't have that many people. We anticipated some people coming in. Don't log off. And yes, for anybody that wants to wear a bandana, those are acceptable also. It just has to be a face covering for your nose and your mouth. Let's see, anybody else? Yeah, sorry, had to take a break. Thank you very much. Okay, because break time is a couple of minutes. Spray bottle.
Yeah.
Mike, the suggestion for a spray bottle with Virex at the station has not been approved, or at the time clock has not been approved by the time clock people. They don't want us spraying it with anything because of the type of metal it is. A microfiber cloth though does clean it off. Okay, walked away. No, Mike. Let's see. Why don't we all radio into punch in? Because we need to see you. The question is, why do we not all radio into punch in? We can all keep our route sheets also, then no one would have to come into the transportation building unless the boss needs to see you. I need to see you every day. Part of my requirement is that part of the requirement that the state puts on us as bus drivers is that we see you guys every day at some point. Otherwise, we are saying that, yeah, they don't have to send them for a random or whatever, but we have to make sure that you're able to drive too. So you do have to come in. We do have to see you in person, which is why we have Greenwood come in at least once a day. It's just part of the requirements of transportation. And as far as your route sheets on the bus, when there's things that have to be changed or looked at, they need to be in your pouches so we have access to them. We know that by dealing with Greenwood, that it's not always easy to not having the route sheets here. What disinfecting measurements are being taken in the common areas throughout the day? Our area will be sprayed down after we have our check-ins and stuff. We'll come in. It will have a spray down done at least at the end of the day with the can't remember what it's called. Electrostatic. It will be sprayed with that at the end of the day or in the morning. We're not sure which way we're going to do it. We'll either do it in the morning or we'll do it at the end of the day. But that will be sprayed in here. There will be bottles of Virex in here also. That if you want, it can be sprayed at any point, but we will be doing the inside here with the machine at least once a day and wiping it down. And our custodian will be wiping down everything once a day throughout the common areas of the day. Okay. Is cleaning or sanitizing part of the route hours? Yes, it is. What's going to happen is that there is time in between your routes before you start your next route that you are going to be required to use the Virex bottle and spray down everything and wipe down the handrails. So you're just going to mist it through from back to front, and then you're going to spray it onto the handrails and actually wipe that down. We've ordered the paper towels that fold into that C, like the ones that are in pull down paper towels. We're going to put them into a large plastic bag for you and give you a bunch of those paper towels, and that's what's going to be used for you to go ahead and wipe down your handrails. Those are the things that the kids touch, and make sure that those are wiped down. You'll mist everything else after each route when you're empty. Let's see, what else do we have?
I have another question.
Go ahead.
You said that seat 1 behind the driver is going to be empty except for their kids. Now, can associates have their own seat, or is the bus going to be too crowded where they have to sit with a child?
It should not be too crowded. Like I said, we're trying to keep those numbers down. And I'll go into the seating chart a little bit later as to where you're going to find the space. At this point, seat 1, if there are no kids on the bus that belong to the driver or the associate, that's something where the associate could sit in seat 1. But when you're dealing with the little kids, you know how that goes. You really need to be in the middle of the bus to the back of the bus and moving around a little bit. So that's how.
Bring their own spray sanitizer to spray the seats down, or no?
It is the Virex bottles like we already have, and that's going to be sprayed from front. Just start at the back, and you'll start spraying, so it goes on seats and stuff, and then the handbars have to be, or the handlebars have to be wiped down. Handrails. Okay.
After every round or at the end of the day?
After every run, because that's where the germs are going to collect. Is because you tell every child to hold on to the handrail as they're coming up the steps. So that has to be wiped down after every run. All right. As far as the other sanitizing of the buses, at the end of the day, once you park your bus, you're not going to be spraying it. We have got one of the mechanics is going to be staying until it's going to take about 3 hours for them to get through all the buses, but they will spray all the buses down with the electrostatic machine, because the difference between using the Virex bottle and using that is that the Virex bottle sprays down and settles on stuff, where the electrostatic clings to everything, including underneath the seat. And it'll cling to the ceiling and the walls and underneath the seat. So once a day that happens, and that'll be at the end of the day. During the middle of the day, you guys will be spraying and wiping down the areas that the children are always touching. But you'll do a quick spray through. Buses that have associates on them, you guys will work as a team to get that done. Let's see what else. And there is a standby route that's posted from 2:15 until 7:15. Because it's a 5-hour route, because we don't have, if you're not driving, then or you are driving, whenever you get back, you're going to help the mechanic that is going to be spraying down the buses. And what that means is that you're going to open up the doors, unlock the doors, and then relock them when they're done, so that all that person has to do is get on the bus, get off the bus, and keep on going, and doesn't have to worry about trying to lock up after himself and that. So it'll be used as, it'll be the teamwork to make sure that that gets done. And I don't want to have just one person here in the evening doing that by themselves. So it also puts that second person on site. So there's 2 people here to take care of if any problems arise while you're doing that. Is cleaning and sanitizing part of the route hours? Yes, that's in part of the route hours. Already answered that one. Will latex gloves be mandatory? No, that's your choice if you want to wear them. We will have some available, the thin plastic ones, or the like what they use at the delis and things like that. We will have those by the pumps, so that you can use that with the pumps, and we will also have the pumps sprayed down on a regular basis, what you're touching in that. But you can use them out there for that, or you can use a paper towel, whatever you want to use on the pump also. It'll take care of the gas smell, and it'll also take care of transmitting any viruses that way too. I think that's a good idea, staying on our buses and calling in our presence for attendance. Would that work? I'll think about it, but I really do need to see you guys and make sure that that we have no problem. I'm not worried about any of you guys drinking or drugs or anything like that. But I still have to, our requirements are is that we still have to see you guys at least once a day. Coming into here, we are making it as sanitized as we can. Keep your distance from each other, wear your masks, and make sure that, you know, you're not really even, the only thing you have to touch is getting your paperwork out of the pouch. Other than that, you really don't have to be touching. We're gonna not have as many tables available, so it's not gonna be sitting around here. I know that we have some people that usually don't go home between routes. That depends on how it goes. We still may have the ability to be here in the break room, but I'll address that a little bit later. Are we going to have hand sanitizers on the bus for the kids? That has not been approved through IDOT as of yet. They have got a statute that they are working on. They have not approved it yet. IDOT will let us know when they approve whether or not hand sanitizers can be on the bus and mounted there. Nothing that can become a projectile can be used. I don't know if we're going to have them on the bus, because even if you try to look at getting them now, they're back ordered so far into the year. It's not funny because everybody's trying to get it in every room at schools and stuff like that. So I don't know if we'll have those available to us, which is why we will be wiping down the rails and stuff once the kids are get on and off the bus. If we return, I assume limited numbers of people in the driver's room at one time. Yes. The 6 feet apart. By recommendation, it can be up to 50 people in this room. No way do we get 50 people in this room. So it will be something, I'm not going to mark the floors with X's. I hope that you all are able to stay 6 feet away from the person in front of you and wait your turn to go up to the window. I see no reason to put arrows and X's like Walmart does and the stores do. Asking that's on you guys. You need to stay your 6 feet away. You need to keep your children with you and make sure they understand what the rules are. They have to wear their mask also. So it's not so much that it's limited, it's just that we can't get crowded in here. So can it be a one time only? Can it be one time only?
Come in one time.
I know. I don't know yet. I'll let you know. Will that machine be, yes, everything at Green will be sanitized also. That's part of what they need to do at the end of the day. Are you going to go out to Greenwood to spray? Yep, just answered that one. Everyone should have their own writing utensils to avoid. Yes, make sure you've got your tools with you. One of them is a pen or a pencil to do your checkout book or anything else that you need. We will have them here. And there will be Virex spray and towels available. So if you need to use one of them, you can spray them down, wipe them down and spray them with the Virex. But it is definitely one of your tools to have, and that is have a pen or a pencil with you. And that will help avoid more spreading of it. Will drivers and staff have temperature checks daily? That one is still being presented to our lawyers as to whether or not it is something that we want to do. So that is definitely one of those details that's being checked into and has the lawyers talking about it. There have been incidences in other companies and different stuff that has brought up enough question as to whether or not it's allowable. So that is before the lawyers at the moment. All right, we talked about check-in and check-out. Mask. We've already touched on this several times, but I'm gonna go ahead and go through it. Everybody must wear the mask on the bus. If you have got children on your bus, you're wearing a mask. I know that it's going to get to the point that it's going to be hard to breathe sometimes, possibly, or hot, because, once we go back to school, we're going to have that 100-degree weather we're not currently having. So it's going to be hot, it's going to be muggy. If you've got kids on the bus, the mask has to be on. If you don't have kids on the bus, then you can take it off and breathe freely. You will need and be required to enforce those rules with the kids on your bus. They have to wear their masks. They have to keep them on. If they are not being kept on, discipline's going to be a little bit different for that. We're going to educate the kids first. If you've got children that are taking their mask off, they're going to need to be talked to about why they have to. They've heard it enough on TV. I'm sure they've heard, somebody is just unmuted. Please mute again. They have heard it on TV. They've heard it in their houses. They need to be wearing their masks. You can explain to them about it's the way to keep them safe so that they don't catch the virus. And if they continue to cause a problem and take their mask off, or if they purposely take their mask off because, you know, I don't know, right about 5th grade, 4th grade is when they become ever such little smarties. It gets to the point that they'll cough in somebody's face. That needs to be dealt with immediately. We either move them, we make them put their face mask back on, and that child gets written up so that the school can reinforce why they wear their masks and decide whether or not that child is going to remain on the bus. So as far as the discipline goes for everything else, that you're doing just like you always do. You know, your warnings, your write-ups, your seat placement. If you've got a child that is misbehaving on purpose regarding mask etiquette, then they get dealt with, they get talked to right away. And the suggestion on that is you pull over and do it and not try to yell that through your bus. They need to put their mask back on. If they purposely cough or sneeze into somebody's face or near them, that gets written up. If you have any questions at all, come see me. It's not so much about the getting them kicked off the bus or discipline. It's going to be about educating them as to why they need to wear the mask and how that is keeping their friends and themselves safe and everybody around them. So education first, but you have to be diligent about it. This is one of those areas that you can't let slack and go, okay, well, you know, they took it off for a while and then put it back on. If they take it off and you see it, you address it immediately. And I've already talked about the extras. Let me see about questions coming in. Hold on. Go ahead and ask it.
If there is an associate on the bus and the driver has kids on, do they still have to keep a mask on?
You mean their own kids or students from?
Yes, their own kids.
That is between you and the driver. If the driver wishes for you to have your mask on, or you are asking for them to keep their mask on, because it's a two-way street, then mask stays on. If they don't have a problem with you sitting farther back in the bus when it should be empty, when it's empty for anything other than their students or their own children, I won't call them students, their children, then that's okay with me. But it's an agreement with you and the driver. Not all drivers are going to be comfortable with the associate taking their mask off if they're in the bus together, and not all associates are going to be comfortable for a driver to take it off. So that's something that you're going to want to talk to the driver about. And as far as their kids go, it's the same thing. You need to communicate with your driver, and the drivers need to communicate with the associates. You can do the 6-foot thing by being far enough in the back of the bus. And if you've got your roof hatches open and your windows open, there should be enough air circulation that if you're both comfortable with it, you can take your masks off and finish driving with them off. So the important part here is the communication between the two of you and the distance between the two of you. Answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Can we fix the overhead speakers in the buses for easier communication with students on the bus, considering we are wearing masks muffled? Well, we can try. And if that's one of the things that's not working on your bus, then write it up and we will see what we can do. I am guaranteeing nothing when it comes to the electrical parts of the bus, because some of those are old enough that they'd have to rewire the whole thing for the speakers to work, for the mic to work. Write it up and we can try to get it fixed. How about how many kids on a route? Our target is to have between 30 and a maximum of 38 or 39 kids on the bus. But Lori has been really trying to keep it below 35. That was my target area that I told her was right about 35 kids on the bus. Did not feel comfortable pushing it all the way up to the max that they gave us, which is 50. So that's part of why we have that, and that has something to do with why we have slightly different routes, because there were some routes that were really heavy with kids and other routes that weren't, and those ended up getting evened out a little bit. But right now that target is 35. How are the life skills routes going about the math? Some kids probably won't do good with them. The special ed department is working on that. They are working on guidelines for the drivers as well as working on guidelines for their own teachers and nurses. If you take a special ed route, then you're taking it understanding that there is a remote possibility that those kids may not be able to wear a mask and that other things will have to be done. And we can discuss that, whether you're the driver or the associate, we can discuss that. We can talk about the possibility of getting you a different style of mask, which would have the filters in it. And though that would be something that we would work on with using the filters. We'll work with the special ed department as far as what they can do to give us guidance with the kids. It's a working together thing because they've got the same questions when they're dealing with the special needs students. So many of the fragile students are coming into school because they need to be in school for their structure, but their parents also need to get that break. And that's what school gets used for, is it gives the parents time to be able to breathe themselves. So we have more fragile students coming in than I thought we would. Special ed was kind of 50-50. They figured that they would be getting the students coming in just because the parents needed a break. So we'll deal with those. If you're on a special ed route, whether you're the driver or the associate, that we will deal with at the time that you get your route, and we'll talk with the school and we'll get you a better mask if that's what's required, as far as the ones with the filters that get changed. Lori just said there are very few routes that have more than 35 kids. So she said she did really, really well keeping that target, that parameter that she was given. So very few routes have more than 35 kids. And that was where splitting those schools in half helped. So how are we spacing them out? Let me get to that slide and I'll tell you. Seating charts. We're at that slide. There have been many suggested plans on how you can seat the students, and they go anywhere from one child to every seat, which would be all of, 24 kids on a bus, or there is a way of doing every other seat. So if you start with one child on the passenger side, sits in the middle, behind them would be two. So it would go 1, 2, 1, 2, and then on the opposite side would go 2, 1, 2, 1. So in a row, there's only 3 children for the row, and in a 3-seat square, there is only 4 kids in that square. There have been a lot of suggestions throughout the transportation community as far as putting up the plexiglass, like what you see at restaurants now and stuff. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad to that. Our buses are designed to keep the kids safe, like an egg carton. If you were involved in an accident and had one of those plexiglasses up, it would no longer be that egg carton effect, because a child could actually get they could actually get hurt hitting that plexiglass rather than hitting that seat in front of them. So there's not a lot of options that they're coming up with other than reducing the number of kids on the bus, having the windows open whenever you can. As colder weather happens, it's going to be a little more difficult. We're going to go with that theory of 3 to a row, whether it's 2 in one and 1 in the other, or 1 and then 2. The other thing that is going to happen is if you have kids from the same family, they are going to be seated together, and they can go up to the 3 to a seat. If you got like a kindergarten and 2 pre-K kids, or or whatever combination, all three of them can go in a seat. If you got a first, a second, and a third grader from the same family, all three of them can go into one seat. It just depends, as long as you've got the containment rule and they're all sitting within that 39 inches and not hanging in the aisle. So families can go together, and otherwise we're going to space them by one at the window and one at the aisle, and then one in the middle. Again, this is another one of those things that we're going to have to make sure that gets enforced. And I already see all kinds of problems with it, because that child that's in the middle is going to want to lean against the window and it's going to move to the edge. Keeping the number of children in the seat is what you need to work on, and keeping them separated a little bit is what you need to work on. So this is why at the kindergarten and pre-K level, we're going to have an associate on every bus. Those are going to be the kids that you could probably yell till you're blue in the face before they actually know you're talking to them. So that's going to, that associate's going to have to be making sure that the kids are staying where they're supposed to be staying, and reminding them. On the elementary buses and the middle school and high school, they're well aware of what's going on. So they just need to be reminded how they're sitting. At the elementary level, the older the child is, the better they should also understand. Your first graders will have a little issue with it. Your second graders may have a little issue with it. We will have to use painter's tape on seats. We can do that. I don't have a problem with you putting an X in the middle and an X on the two sides. And that would be something that once you get your route, and we're talking about the seating charts and stuff, that you can go and do for your bus and take care of it. And that would be also part of that getting set up, and you would be paid to go ahead and do your bus. We can do that with painter's tape. If this becomes something that's going to be here for a long time, I'll probably get the signs that say do not sit here, because they're not that expensive, but to be able to have them for every bus would be very expensive. So painter's tape right now works. With the student's name on them, you can. It's one of those things that you can do the name on them, or you can put the painter's tape up on the side of the wall with their names on them. Either way, I would imagine that as the kids are getting into that seat, you might be replacing that painter's tape on a regular basis, because I think there's probably quite a few first and second graders that are going to love to just pull that tape up. Now, you can use that painter's tape to go around the seat a little bit so that they don't have the edges to pull up, and it'll be a little harder, but when there's nothing else to do and you're not supposed to be talking to the people around you and you're not supposed to be playing with them, then that tape's going to become the game while they're sitting in that seat. So putting their names on them may not work. Let's see what else. Any other thing?
One of your cleaners might have a problem with that also.
What was that?
One of your cleaners might have a problem with that also.
All right, Dan's in the room voicing that being a cleaner, he might have a problem with that, but the painter's tape should come off of the seats very easy.
And wouldn't it come up if you're spraying
It might.
those seats
Like I said, you're going to be replacing that
three-
painter's tape
three
regularly.
times a day?
It could. Spraying the seats will make that come up. But as you're going along and your children are getting trained, with even the kindergarten kids should be able to get it eventually. It may just take longer. Any child from first grade and up, my granddaughter's going into first grade. If she was told for several weeks in a row, you don't sit here, she'll sit in her seat and not sit there. You can train most of your kids, but it's something that you're going to have to be diligent about. You're going to have to be working with them on their seating and making sure they stayed seated, so that eventually you may not have to have the tape there. And then you can replace it, or you can put it there only if you're having any issues. So it's something that in the beginning, yes, I would say put the tape there, because that will help the kids understand where they're supposed to be sitting. After a while, they should know where they're supposed to be sitting in the Ys, and hopefully you won't have to have that tape there all the time, because spraying it will take it off. Kids will take it off, but it's a good idea for at least the start. Yeah, Jamie just said the same thing. After a week or so they should get it, which is true. Let's see, or don't use it. It's optional. Right, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's just another tool available to you, and we will have the painter's tape here. It's just another tool that's going to be available. Right now, this is all in the discovery mode. We have not ever had a year like this. I hope we don't have any more like this, but we've never had a year like this. So good decisions, good suggestions, bad decisions, bad suggestions. We're going to be finding out where everything we do lies once we've done it. So I am open to any suggestions that you guys have, and if we can implement them, we will. They may work, they may not work, but I'd rather try them than say, oh no, you can't do that. So for right now, if you guys think of anything else, let me know, and we will give it a try to see if it helps. I am all for whatever way we can do this to make it easier on you guys, make it easier on the kids, and make it the safest for all. Drops out outside the box for pre-trips. Yes, someone had already asked about that. Putting a drop box outside so that you don't have to bring in your checkout sheets unless they have a problem on them that you need fixed. And we're looking at that. I don't know if it'll be here right from the beginning, but we will try to get it here. We've kind of kicked around the idea of a mailbox. Whatever it is, it just has to be something that can be kept dry. I was trying to see whether it could be put into that vestibule out there, attached somehow, and maybe. So all you have to do is open up that outer door and open it up. I'm not sure yet. We're looking into that. I've put a few projects that given Bob a few things to look at, so he's kind of been my go-to handyman. He's good at finding things to fix problems. So we've been using him to go think about different things, so we're looking at that. All right. Wendy, what are you talking about? Huntley has that. Is it a mailbox, or what kind of box did they use in? Are you talking Huntley Transportation or Huntley Park District? All right, I'll wait and see if she answers. But yes, that was something that was already suggested that we are looking into. We have, Lori and Risa and Jerry and I have had a couple different meetings, and we've been in contact ever since the prospect of going back to school actually hit. And you know, 4 minds, and we've had a couple people give us suggestions. So we've got a lot of things that we're looking at. But again, any suggestions that you think will make it easier, please let me know, and we'll be happy to, if we can implement it, we will, or at least test it out and see if it works. Because that's what this year is going to be. It's going to be, let's see, it's going to be a year of trials and errors and successes. So we'll see what works. A drop box throughout the lot plastic. Well, let me look and see what I can do. I didn't even think about through the lot, but we might be able to put it onto light poles and stuff. So we'll look at that aspect also. Did we ever find out if IDOT will allow sanitizer stations? Already talked about that. They have not made a ruling yet. It is in DOT's hands right now with a revision to the statute that says that they have to approve anything that gets mounted on a bus or is in the bus. And right now it's in their hands. They have not come back with a ruling yet. Dave, the guy that came out and talked to, well, no, actually it wasn't Dave that came out. It was the other one that came out. Dave is our guy at IDOT that handles our area up here in the north. He's going to let us know as soon as an answer happens. He expected them to have an answer this week or next. It's not going to happen the first day of school, because right now there are not sanitizers to be found anywhere, even if I wanted to bring them in, because I was looking for one to mount on a wall in the office or in the, the break room here, and having trouble even getting one for in here. So, but we will find out what they rule and then what we can do. Hang odd number routes from, let's see, hang odd number routes from lockers. Maybe, but people have those lockers that they use. We looked at that too. What we're looking at right now is like a pegboard setup that is on, that we can put on wheels, that it can actually be moved around and it's not stationary, that we can hang some of the routes on, either like a 3-sided or 4-sided, and still have it moved. Would you answer and just see what Jan wants? That's Jan Stockwell. So we're looking at that. It's something that we might be able to build. They do have them for sale that we can do. Right now, we're looking to see what's available. The stuff that I wanted to do was kind of like the book things that you can hang on a wall, but have it stationary to where you can have a couple of different like sheets where you would move them and they would have it hanging. Between the fact that all of the ones that we've looked at that we might consider said out of stock for 6 to 8 weeks, or they didn't look like they could handle, there's ones that can handle tools on them. I figured those were heavy enough to handle paper and all that. They're either not available for 6 to 8 weeks or they're like $3,000 a piece. So we're looking for an alternative. If we don't have it right away, it's something that our guys are going to try to build for us so that we can get them relatively quickly. Anybody else that's handy that would like to come talk to us about building them, feel free to come talk to us about building them, and we'll see what we can do. Will associates be able to put a couple drops of sanitizers in pre-K and kindergarten hands? I'll let you know. The associate is going to be dealing with making sure the kids are getting into their right seats. While it's summertime, that's not as big of a deal. Once we get into colder weather, it will be. I will let you know. I'm not sure that time right now is in the routes to do that, because that will take a few extra, that'll cause a few extra minutes before you can get moving, because you can't get moving till those children are settled. And associate already will be doing quite a bit with making sure the kids get settled. While driving, no, because at this point, your associate's not supposed to be moving around the bus while you're driving unless it's an emergency. And that emergency, we're going to expand a little bit more to if they take a face mask off, or something else happens that they have to keep their distancing. Otherwise, the associate is not supposed to be moving around the bus while you're driving. So, and that comes down from Secretary of State as far as what we do on our buses. Don't want to violate that rule unless we have to. All right. But I'll look at it the other way and see whether it's something that can be done. And we might find that once we get back that it works out, that we can get it done before they get on the bus. So I'm not sure. We'll look at that. Seating charts, that we'll talk about with you briefly when you select your routes, and we'll give you a paper for the seating chart, just like we used to have handed out. Seating charts will have to be done before school starts. The schools are requesting the seating charts. So once we have your seating chart, they're going to be sent off to the schools. And part of that is for contact tracing if that's ever needed. Some of our schools actually help out and go, these two kids really shouldn't be together on a seat when there's an issue, but they need it in case they do have a child that gets sick, so that they know who's been around them and who's scheduled to be around them. So as far as the seating chart goes, that is something that you guys will be required to do. You will be paid to get that done. It'll be done here, or it will be done. The original thought was I was going to have you do it here, but that'll create too many people in the room at one time. So we'll let you know when you pick your route as to when you have to have it open, and then also what the time is that we will pay to have you sit down and do those seating charts. We'll kind of figure out what the average is, and that's what everybody will get paid to make sure that the seating charts are done for all their routes. All right. Any questions on seating charts?
Did you mention that they're doing it in the back of the park?
Oh, yeah, and we'll mention that again when you get it, but when you load and you're doing your seating charts, you're gonna go from the back to the front. We're also going to have you, when you're unloading at the schools, we're gonna do it evacuation style. You start with seat 1, have them stand up, and each one stand up. The kids do not need to crowd into the middle. This is now, and that's how you're gonna tell them, you're doing an evacuation style. You stay seated until it's your turn to stand up and walk down the aisle. Again, it's gonna be one of those things that you're gonna have to be diligent about telling it. We need to create a little bit of space as they're going into the school. They're gonna have it marked off with X's on where the kids can stand. And we need to have them go off, not all in a clump. So one child on the stair at a time going down, it's gonna take a little bit more to unload them. But they all know how to do evacuations. They all know how to go out the front door with evacuations, and they should have all been told when we done those evacuation drills and taught that they go one seat at a time, left, right, left, right. All right. Any other questions on seating? Seating charts or getting on or off the bus? I won't guarantee you that I have thought of everything to talk to you guys about today. And oh my God, it's 11 o'clock, 11:20 already. Okay. Other things may come up. We might do another one of these sessions if we're in school again, so that at right before school starts, so that if you guys have any major questions, the best part about this is that you can ask questions and I can answer it once versus having the phone calls of answering it every time. So we may do one, if we're gonna be in session, we'll probably do another one of these that Thursday or Friday, make it a little bit more shorter if there's anything I missed. And I'll also do it recorded, so if you can't attend it, you can watch it. And I haven't checked on this in a while. I hope, can anybody just look? Do you still see that it's being recorded? Yes, it's still being recorded, good. Okay. Sick days, thank you. Sick days. There is my phone number in yellow. If you have any other number in your phone at this time, get rid of it. I still have people texting my district phone or calling it. And I don't check the texts every day. I try to, because that's who people within the district call, but I've got most of them used to calling my personal cell also. So what do you mean you don't see it? Christine, you don't see a number. It should be under sick days. If you don't see the number, it is. Got a pen, got a paper, want to put it in your phone right now? Okay, I'll wait 2 seconds. All right, it's 815-546-4333. That is the phone number that you use to text or call me. If you need anything, use that number. If you use any other number than that, you run the risk of me not answering you for a day or two. So get rid of the other number. Sick, if you are sick and you call in, I'm going to be asking you if you have any type of flu-like or COVID-like symptoms. Don't be offended when I ask you. I just need to know if that is the sick day. If it's any other reason, I don't need to know details. I don't need to know the stomach details or any of that. I just need to know that you're not feeling well. But if there is the fever or the breathing problems or any of the other symptoms that come with COVID or flu even, I need to know those. They will be between you and me. They will probably be reported upline to our head nurse just to make sure that we don't want to take any other precautions, especially if there are any of the COVID symptoms. So, and I would let you know, I'd let you know after I talk to our head nurse, what our director of nursing, whether or not we want to go any further with it. You can text me or call me anytime after 4:45. We've got earlier routes this year than we've had in the past. So I have increased it from 5 o'clock to 4:45 is the earliest I want you calling me. I will ask you guys, because I've had it several over the last 2 years, the 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning calls that tell me I've been up all night and I wanted you to know that I'm probably not going to make it in the morning. Send me a text and then make sure you call it after 4:45. You call and talk to me. I do check my texts in the morning. I do return phone calls if I have a text that said I'm not feeling good, and I will call back, because if you're afraid of once you fall asleep, you're not going to be up at the right time. I don't have a problem with that. Don't call me. As everybody knows, my husband is not doing, he's doing okay, but when he was healthy and awesome, he didn't like those 3 o'clock in the morning calls because they interrupt his night as much as they interrupt mine. So if you are sick at the hospital or anything else in the middle of the night, just send a text. I will call you back in the morning if you're at home and verify that you're not coming in. Otherwise, call after 4:45 in the morning and let me know what's going on. Any questions on that? Okay. What if you're feeling sick? Do you have a fever? Are you coughing? Do you have stomach issues? Do you have breathing issues? Those are the things that I'll need to know when you are sick, if that's what's bothering you. And then that will be passed, like I said, that'll be passed up line so that I can get directions from our nursing staff. What you're going to be told is you need to go to the doctor or you need to call 1-800-MD. 1-800-MD is our online nurse triage. They will talk you through your symptoms. They will determine whether you really should go see a doctor, or if something else is there. They are available to every district employee. We'll make sure that there is information put in your mailboxes again. You might already have them, but we'll make sure that that information is put in your mailboxes again, because we are going to request that you either go to your doctor or you call 1-800-MD. 1-800-MD is free. So that would probably be the first choice to call, and they will tell you whether it would be in your best interest to go see a doctor, go get tested, or whatever. If they direct you to go get tested for COVID, you need to let me know and report that to me that's what they directed you to do. Any other directives that pertain to not working or anything specific that would directly affect your work, they do send you, I believe it's by email, they do send you some sort of confirmation of your discussion on the phone and what their recommendations are. If it has anything to do with you not working, then that would be something that you're going to present to me. If they're giving you instructions like take 2 aspirins and call them in the morning type thing, then that I don't need to know that. Just let me know. You can just tell me. If they direct you to go get a COVID test, that would be something that you're going to give that report to me. And if you test positive from that COVID test, that will get reported to the McHenry Health Department, and they will get involved and direct us on how we're going to proceed as far as the tracing and what we're going to do with personnel that you have interacted with and students and things like that. That's their call at that point. Is 1-800-MD a valid phone number? No, it is not. It's just called 1-800-MD. You would have gotten a sheet last year and it was part of the training. So you can find that information on our woodstockschools.org/transstaff. You can find the information on 1-800-MD. It's in one of the boxes on the right hand or the left hand side, and all the information is in there, and it gives you the phone number to call or the online where you can get online and talk to them. But if you're not feeling well, you are going to be directed to do that. And that's for your safety, for our safety, and it's a free service that will help you get through it. You will have to register with them, like meds and things like that, because they are actually doctors and nurses that are doing triage on the phone. So you may want to go ahead and read that part off of our webpage. and go ahead and sign up and get activated in that system, just in case you ever have to call them. If you ever want to call them on your own because you have a concern, that's what they're there for also. But don't be offended if you're asked to call them, or if you don't want to call them and you want to go to your doctor, you can do that too. That's your call about going to your doctor. But as far as what we're going to request is that you at least call 1-800-MD and go through them. Heather just posted the phone number. You still need to go online and get an account with them and get it set up. So your best bet is to go to our webpage and click on that. Click on the box that says 1-800-MD and go through the process of setting up your file with them. I know I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but it's for the betterment of everybody. Colds, flus, or anything else that is contagious, please stay home and get healthy. I'll regret that statement when I've got 15 routes to cover, but I don't want you here. I'd rather you get healthy and not spread it. Not spread it to the kids. And you all know what we went through last November through March, actually. We were spreading around flu, pneumonia, bronchitis, and everything else. And I'd rather you guys get healthy and get medical assistance for it, get drugs if that will help or whatever, but make sure that I'm encouraging you to stay home. That's what we need to be able to keep the place from getting super sick. Hopefully our parents are going to do that with their kids also. Okay. Break room. You need to wear your mask, so does your kid. So do adults and children need to wear their mask. You need to stay 6 feet apart. And again, I'm not marking up my floor. I think you guys can figure 6 feet apart. We are not going to have lingering in the break room. We will determine whether or not we're going to allow you guys to stay here. If we do, it will be limited to a certain number, and we will put the tables spaced apart over on this end by the lockers so that the area in front of the window is kept clear so people can come and go that way. If you are here, you will have to be here with your mask on. If there's more than one person in the room. If you're by yourself and you take the mask off, then I'm going to ask you to take one of the Virexes and make sure that you clean down and spray down the table that you were at, just to help contain any germs that you might have. Any questions on the break room? Okay. Addresses and phone numbers. If we found a few, the fact that I'm a few people shy for this meeting, I don't know if we've got all the address and phone number changes. If you did not get a call from me, but somebody else told you about the meeting when they were calling in that for letting you know that we were picking later, the routes later. If you got online today and you didn't get a call yesterday from me on our Blackboard to tell you to go to the website to do it, I need to know that, because what that means is that we may have the correct number on our list and we're able to contact you, but the district doesn't have the correct number in your list at your employee list. And if that's the case, then we need to get your correct number in there, because that's what all the Blackboard messages come from, is what's registered in what they call it, Lawson. Could we still use the microwave and take our food to our cars? Yes, you can use the facilities, you can use the refrigerator, you can use the microwave. There's still going to be, I'm going to say that there's going to be coffee, because I know that some of you guys just wouldn't be able to handle it without getting coffee in the morning. We will have coffee. Whoever normally makes it can still make the coffee. Again, using caution and just being diligent about making sure that what you're doing is staying within the guidelines. Make sure your hands are clean. Make sure that you're washing your hands, you're wearing your masks, and you're keeping your distance. But if you're going to be in the kitchen, make sure you're wearing your mask, make sure you wash your hands. And that too will try to be sprayed down and wiped down. You're always welcome to take the bottle of Virex and wipe it down before you touch it. That's not a bad idea if you know that you're going to be using it. Other than that, everything will be still available in here. The biggest part is just keeping that distance and not the socializing will have to be kept to a minimum. For those of you that have always taken, because we've always had a group of people that have kind of hung out here between routes and that we can have up to a certain number of people in here. And then after that, we wouldn't be able to allow you to come in or not come in, but allow you to just hang out here. So we'll see what that number is once I figure out how many people can safely stay in here, still keep their 6-foot distance and sit at the tables and stuff. When I do my classes, I do 2 to a table, 1 on each end. So, and we're not going to be able to have all of our tables set up. So it might only be like 8 people, might be 10, we'll see. Tomorrow, we are still on for tomorrow, regardless of whether school closes, doesn't go or not, because we have our refresher classes tomorrow. Gonna go back one. Yeah, I forgot to put it on here. Break room, that includes the offices. We have put notes on all of our doors to the office that it says, please do not enter. Go to the window. We need you to go to the window. Normally we don't mind having you come into the office and talk or whatever, but because we are trying to keep this social distancing while we're in the office, as long as we are separated from each other, they don't have to wear masks. They'll put them on at any point that someone is coming into the office or we're interacting with each other. The mask will be on. Most of us, you'll see they're either hanging around the neck or somewhere around their ear, underneath their chin, whatever. Sitting at the desk has that same problem with you guys in the buses, and having that mask on, 10 hours a day is going to be difficult. So when we don't have people by us, we're allowed to not have that mask on. But once we get within our 6 feet of each other, we have to put our masks on. So we're asking that you stay in the break room and come to the window. It's for your protection. It's for our protection. We'll put the mask on when we're talking to you, but it's hard to hear. We all know that, and it's going to be really interesting on the radio. I can't wait till we have to work on the muffled radio calls. But for dispatch to radio properly, they're not going to have their masks on. So please do not enter the office unless you're asked to. If people are worried about using microwave and they stay at Trans, Walmart sells hot logistics that plug into the wall or cars and heats up food if needed. Good suggestion. Yeah, so does Amazon, I guess. All right. Go back to tomorrow. Session is in. Because of the requirements of only 50 people, and that includes the instructors, our refreshers have to be with only 49 people. When you come in tomorrow, there will be lists of who's going to be in the morning refresher. That is going to be in the commons area. And that'll be 49 people in the commons area. And Kim Wolf is going to be teaching that in the morning. The other 60-some people that are going to be at the meetings, and in the morning, this includes all of the associates that are coming unless you've talked to me previously, and all of the drivers are coming unless you've talked to me previously about not being there. If you're not in the morning refresher class, then you are going to be in what's called an ACE class. It's an ACE interface training. And what that is adverse childhood experiences, where kids have potentially experienced traumatic events in their life. It was being taught before COVID, but what they have found is that depending on what the kids have been told in their households about COVID, whether they've had anybody that's been sick with it, whether they've had their parents not working and they've gone from having food on the table to not having food on the table. There's all kinds of different scenarios that they are expecting the kids to come back to school with having some issues. And this is a training seminar that is actually put on by Mike Donovan's daughter. And she works for McHenry County Health Department, and her and another instructor are going to be talking to us about different things to look at on the bus, how to handle different situations, if there's a need to report it anyway up. So it's to give you that extra tool that if you see any of those children getting on your bus that have those symptoms of having gone through some sort of traumatic experience, that you are able to help them in whatever manner you can. So if you're not in the refresher class, you're going to be in the ACE class. In the afternoon, because we have so many more people, we're going to have one class in the Commons area with 49 people, and then our tech department is going to come in and videotape it and zoom it into a classroom so that you're hearing the same instructor, but you're in a classroom with less than 49 people in it. And you'll attend it that way. We had to be, otherwise I would have had to have created 3 classes. And right now, I just wanted to get everybody refreshed for it and get that out of the way. So you'll either be in the morning, there's 1 refresher class and 2 ACE classes. In the afternoon, there's going to be 2 refresher classes and 2 ACE classes. And there will be lists as to which one you're going to and where you're going. The rooms we're going to be using, 1 or 2 of them are on the first floor and 1 or 2 of them are on the second floor. They've kind of bounced me around a couple times already because they're not ready at North High School to be having the room set up in order to do training. So we'll let you know tomorrow morning exactly where we're at when I find out. Okay, Kathy, are you saying they will be 60 people in one? No, there is only going to be 49 people in a room. In the afternoon, 49 people in the refresher class in the morning. That's going to leave approximately 70 to 80 people that I have to do something with. They are going to be split up and put into two ACE rooms for 2 classes for ACE. Those 80 people will be approximately 30 to 40 people, depending on how many we have, in each ACE room. In the afternoon, those 49 people that were in the refresher class, they are going to be split up into 2 groups of 25, and they're going to go take the ACE training. But those drivers that were in the morning ACE training, they're going to be split into two groups. One's going to be 49 in the Commons area, and one should be about 20 something, somewhere between 20 and 25 in another classroom that we will be, they're going to have the camera set up. The tech department is going to have the camera set up, and they are going to be, you're going to be watching Jerry talk on a screen in that room. So you're not going to physically be in the room, but you're going to be viewing the refresher just like they are. And I'll be filtering between the rooms to making sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be and if there's any questions anywhere. So no, there won't be 69 people. It'll be 49. And the way that looks in the Commons area is they've got like the small desks that are like 1/3 of these tables, and they have the desk set up, or it'll be the chair with the desk on it that's attached to it that are in the classrooms. Are you saying, oh no, I already read that. What about us who can't make tomorrow's refresher? It says person unknown. I don't know who the person is, but if you can't make the refresher, every single thing that I have sent out has said you need to talk to me if you can't make your refresher. So whoever the person is that is not going to make the refresher, call me after we're done with this and talk to me, because we have to make some other arrangements. Are we going in the main entrance at North? Probably. We'll probably go in either the main entrance, or we'll go in at the, park at the auditorium and come in there. We'll just filter you through there to where you're going. So classrooms, they will be 6 feet apart. Yes, ma'am. They are setting up, if in the classroom setting, it's the table chair combination that the kids use, and they are set up to be 6 feet apart. They hold anywhere from, I think the minimum is 30 or 35 chairs. I'm not positive. Their custodian knows how they should be set up, and they will be set up so that they're 6 feet apart. And if we run into a problem with it, we will take over another room, I guess. Right now, we're dividing you up as best we can, and it's supposed to be 6 feet apart. We're bringing in a Zoom, or I'm not sure what they're using, if it's Zoom or how they're doing it. But tech department's got it set up so that you will view what's going on, no matter how many classrooms we have you in, you will view what's going on in the commons area for the refresher class. Mr. Verzi, we have you down. We will make arrangements to get you your refresher class at a different time. Make sure we do talk, because I have to find out when you need to have the refresher class by, and I'll look that up. If there's anybody else that is not going to be there for the refresher class tomorrow, again, you need to contact me today and talk to me today about it. Any more questions about tomorrow? So as far as meeting goes, it's primarily refresher and the ACE training. At the end of the refreshers, if I have anything else to share with you, any information that I can share with you, I will make sure that that's shared with you. Otherwise, once we release from the refreshers, you're free to go get lunch and then come back at 1:30 or at 12:30, not 1:30, 12:30. If you can't make it, let me know. Associates, you guys are going to be all in the morning ACE classes. And I haven't determined yet whether we've got space, because it really depends on what they tell me I have for space in the afternoon, whether or not you can attend the refresher and listen into it. If I have the space, then you are more than welcome to come in and finish the refresher. Otherwise, I will do something else for you at a different time. We won't be able to get any other training in for the afternoon, because everybody that I would have had for you guys to talk to as far as, dealing with the kids and stuff, none of them were available tomorrow. They're all everybody in our district is kind of spread thin on trying to get the new staff up and running. So you might be released at 11:30 and told that you don't have to come back. I'll let you know that tomorrow. If we have room and you'd like to sit in on the refresher class, it gives you an idea of what's going on with the drivers and stuff and what they're taught. If I have the space, you're more than welcome to come in and sit in that class. If I don't have the space, then you'll be released to go home. Okay. Is the refresher? Yes, everything is at North High School. And for right now, you're going to park at the auditorium side. Not as much parking space. If the parking is full there, because that's where all of central office parks also. If the park lot is full, you can park on the other side and come in the main doors. Just come to the commons area, which is where we usually eat at. That's what they call the commons area. We are not using the auditorium this year because of not being able to clean it and sanitize it with enough time and stuff. So come towards the commons area, and there will be a table there that we're going to tell you which way to go, where you're going, whether you're going to the commons area or to a different room. If district decides to do e-learning tonight, will there be notification via e-text mail sent out from the office? No idea what the district is doing. I'm assuming that they are going to notify everybody some way. It may not come out until tomorrow. If they determine that there's no school, that will be one of the things that I'll share with anybody who doesn't know it. I suspect that a lot of people are going to be listening in to the board meeting tonight. So you may, that'll be where you're going to hear the outcome. Otherwise, I'll let everybody know in the morning as far as what the outcome was, whether school's on or school's on e-learning. Any other questions? Hey, this actually took longer than I thought, but it's working. We can do this at least so that we can have the conversations and still be able to do this where you guys can all hear what everybody's asking. Okay, where is the meeting? Where can we listen for the board meeting? The board meeting is being held at, I believe they're doing it at North High School. You can go online to see it. You can get there via woodstockschools.org. Do not put in the /Transstaff, just woodstockschools.org. There is a tab that says board information or whatever. If you go to that, you can see there'll be a tab that says live board meetings. When you click on that, that'll take you to the live board meeting. They usually start broadcasting about 15 minutes before the board meeting is supposed to start, so that you can make sure that you're on. Oh, good question. Do we need our binders? Let me make sure that this is it. As far as if you need more help with knowing where to go for the board meeting, feel free to call the office and we'll help you make sure you know where you're going and what you're doing. As far as, do we need our binders tomorrow? You don't have to bring them. We will be handing out some paperwork at ACE that will 3-hole punch. There is 2 pieces of paper they want you guys to have, and then there's a evaluation form for them that they want turned in. So again, make sure you have a writing utensil tomorrow. You have a pen or pencil. And those papers from ACE are ones that will tell you to put into your binder. If we go in through school and we do school at the beginning of school, we will have an updated District 200 tips list, because we've added, from last year, I think we added 1 or 2 items. We'll take care of making sure you know what those are and then give you the updated one. Other than that, no, you don't need to keep your binders, because we don't need to bring them, because we're not doing a meeting like we normally do. You are strictly doing just the refresher, which has nothing to do with the binder, and the ACE training. Today is your meeting for what we normally would do. And then we might do something else again a little bit closer to school if we are going to school, because I expect that if we are going to school, there's going to be more questions. So I want to give you guys the ability to ask whatever your concerns are, and we'll do another one of these where it's being recorded and you can listen in. Are there any other questions? Do we get paid for today so we know what to report to unemployment? You are having 3 hours pay today, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, to report to them. And then if we do anything next week, I'll let you know. Any other questions? Oh yeah, and there'll be 6 for tomorrow too, because you'll do 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. All right, guys, it was nice to see some faces. Oh wait, yeah, Benny.
I never got any unemployment.
Did you apply for it? I wish I could help you, but everything that I've ever heard on news is scary. So all I can say is keep talking to them and seeing where you might want to try talking to him. Okay, Benny is having trouble with his unemployment and getting it. If anybody has successfully gotten the unemployment or had any difficulties with them and able to work it out, call Benny and give him some ideas on how to contact them in that. I don't know hardly any particulars on the unemployment. I have heard people that breezed through it and started receiving it right away. I've heard people that have had problems with it. Amy Tunyon just said, go ahead and give her a call and she'll help you. For those of you that didn't get it, that if you've applied and you're not getting it, If there's another driver, Amy said that to have Benny call. So if you want to call her, I guess you can call her. I've heard of difficulties, but I've also heard people that have gotten it quickly. So I'm not sure how to direct you other than talk to your fellow drivers that have gotten it and see if they have any helpful ideas. Okay, she said she'll call you. All right. Any other questions? All righty. It was nice seeing you guys. For the sake of being able to see you guys here, because it's been kind of lonely, you know, we're keeping ourselves company here, but it's been kind of lonely and we actually do miss you. I'll be sorry if we don't have school. But for the sake of safety and stuff, I will not be sorry. Oh, yeah, Benny.
In order to keep you fulfilled, we can have a little dance floor here or something for entertaining or something like that to make you feel more, you know.
Benny just offered you guys to have entertainment for us and doing a dance. He said he'll lead you. Thank you, Benny. All right. Anyways, if we don't start school, you know, stop in and say hello once in a while. Wear your mask. Come say hello. We do miss you guys. We miss your kids. And come visit us. If we do go back to school, we'll see you. It's going to be a crazy ride. So hang on, and we'll get through this together, and we'll learn as we're going. So any other questions, feel free to call me. I will try to answer whatever I can for you or get the answers. Anything at all, let me know. As far as unemployment, I can't help you, but anything related to transportation and District 200, I will make sure that I get you the answers. Have a wonderful week. I'll see a lot of you guys Thursday, maybe. I'll have the answer tomorrow, whether we are choosing routes on Thursday or whether we are going to e-learning. So see you then. Everybody take care. Miss you. Bye.